Uh-oh.
In her last two fights. Good way hitting him from that way down.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Another look at this past weekend's action in the women's super bantamweight division. Unbeaten up-and-comer from right here in the US of A, Makia Kreps returned to action opposite the ring veteran southpaw Melissa Oddessa, a personal favorite of mine in a fight that kinda hurt to watch.
Why?
Because I'm a fan of both. I'm a fan of both Makia and Melissa. But somebody's gotta win, and somebody's gotta lose. I knew that Makia would win. Youth was on her side. I identify Makia as having just as high, if not a higher ceiling than Melissa Oddessa, but she's fresher, several years younger. Just as fluid inside and outside of the pocket, just as if not more fluid on the move, fighting on the go, changing levels when she does it, bobbing and weaving and bringing over counters,
Creating space.
managing the distance under pressure as Melissa Oddessa was coming forward, throwing punches, throwing combinations, forcing Makia Kreps to work, forcing Makia Kreps to deal, which she did. Very poised under pressure.
Not flustered, not panicked, just poised.
Very good experience in this fight for young Makia Kreps against the southpaw, a strong one. She won a decision. She won a decision over Melissa Oddessa, advancing to a professional record of 8 wins with no losses, no draws, 3 knockouts, campaigning in the super bantamweight division. Super bantamweight. That's where Ellie Scottney holds both the IBF and WBO titles. That's where Yemi Mercado is set to defend her WBC title against Ramla Ali.
And that's where Erica Cruz still reigns as that division's WBA champion. That's where Makia Kreps currently campaigns at 122. A very deep division, very deep weight class, with many different avenues to see herself become a world champion.
Keeping a nice steady schedule of activity, Makia fought 3 times in 2022, 2 times last year, and she just had her first fight of this one with plenty of time left to schedule 2 more fights.
Maybe another one over the summer months, then another one in the fall or winter.
She's the goods. When you look at her, you see she's got what it takes. It's noticeable that Matchroom definitely has a stake in the women's super bantamweight division. Ramla Ali, Erica Cruz, Ellie Scottney, these are all their fighters.
Some from the UK, some from Mexico. But what about America? What about bringing in Makia Kreps into the fold, into the fray?
In my previous video, we talked about Matchroom's previous Valkyries, how some of them seem to be leaving. We know that Nina Hughes left and Chantel Cameron. Don't know what, if anything, is going on with Ebony Bridges or Shannon Courtenay, though I get the sense they're not with Matchroom anymore either. So you know where I'm going with this. What about signing Makia Kreps, who's not with a major promotional outfit? She's talented, she's young, only 27.
Younger than Nina Hughes, than Ebony Bridges, than Shannon Courtenay.
Younger than Chantel Cameron in a very deep division. There are many, many good fights at or around these weights that you could make for Makia Kreps. And she's the goods. You can see that.
See a champion.
Very skilled fighter with a high ceiling, adaptable in all the ways that, say, the United Kingdom's own Ellie Scottney is adaptable. She's good at many, many good things all at once. The complete package has the look of a complete fighter.
See how she just did that shuffle? That shift from orthodox over to southpaw. To let go of the backhand from the southpaw stance.
She can fight orthodox, she can fight southpaw. She transitions seamlessly. She's very good. And I think she would be a fantastic addition for Matchroom's next cycle, next crop of Valkyries because they're still signing female fighters. They just signed Stephanie Pinedo.
Puerto Rico's own Stephanie Pinedo, yet another unbeaten up-and-comer I've talked about many, many times here on the channel, the same as Makia Kreps.
If somebody over there at Matchroom is listening, you could do a lot worse than sign Makia Kreps.
Won't say any names, but technically you already have.
I think Makia has a higher ceiling and more upside than some of the fighters that Matchroom has signed in the past. She would be a welcome addition to that stable.
The American girls need opportunities too, because it's not like Top Rank is signing any of them.
Matchroom is still doing more than anybody else in the industry to advance the profile of women in sport and women in boxing.
I think they should sign Makia.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Floyd Mayweather is set to stage his very next exhibition match, and it will be a rematch with John Gotti III. He will return in Mexico, still living off the Mexican fans' money. Initially, it was supposed to be Victor Ortiz, but because Ortiz and Gotti have the same management team, they wanted Gotti up next. Ortiz will still be on the card. And looking at this and where it's going down, you have to wonder who has an appetite for this exhibition match or many of the other exhibition matches that Floyd Mayweather has had. The one he already had with John Gotti III, the one before that with Chalmers, the one before that with his old sparring partner Don Moore. Who's buying this stuff? Who is this for?
And who's the financier? Who's paying him to fight these people? And what are they paying him?
It all seems indicative of what Gervonta Davis was saying a little over a week ago, that Floyd Mayweather has burned through all of his cash. It's all indicative of what 50 Cent said a few years ago. Same thing. Floyd is broke.
The money's gone.
Boxing insider Rick Glacier, via his own sources, is saying the same thing. Rumors abound, and now hearing from reliable sources that Al Haymon supposedly owes Floyd Mayweather $100 million from past purses, telling Floyd he was investing the money for Floyd.
Isn't that what I told you?
It's literally what I've been telling you here on this channel, and now Haymon's been nowhere to be found since December 18th of last year. This could be the reason why Floyd had that financial issue recently in Dubai. The big question is, where's Al Haymon? As I'm sure Floyd would like to know. Sounds like the other Haymon fighters should be checking up on their finances that their quote-unquote Uncle Al may have quote-unquote invested. So it's long been said that PBC fighters don't get their full purses. They don't get the full purse up front. They get a piece of it on the night, and they're paid the rest of it in increments over time. This was confirmed by none other than Adrian Bronor, who was fed up with Al Haymon's games and took to his social media to expose him, demanding the rest of his money.
Why would anybody go along with this?
It's because many of these fighters were under the impression that Al Haymon is the patron saint for boxers, particularly black boxers, and I maintain that nothing could be further from the truth, and it seems to me he operates like a snake oil salesman, because why wouldn't you? Why shouldn't you give these fighters their purses up front?
It's what Matchroom does.
Where Al Haymon seemed to be holding on to these fighters' purses, several of these fighters' purses, Floyd Mayweather included, and paying them in stipends.
That's why they go along with it. They see that Floyd's been going along with it for years, so they tell themselves, well, Floyd knows what he's doing. He trusts Al Haymon, so I'll trust Al Haymon.
Because of everything he did for Floyd. But what exactly? What exactly did he do for Floyd? He didn't build Floyd Mayweather, the fighter. Floyd's upbringing, his grooming and vetting process happened under the Top Rank banner. By the time that Al Haymon comes into it, he's already a finished product. Already a complete fighter.
Let's not get lost here.
So for the longest time it was rumored that Al Haymon don't pay these guys all their money up front. He holds on to it and he pays them over time. There are certain dangers in association with this practice, trusting someone with that much of your hard-earned dollars, because all the while, you don't know for sure what they're doing with it, but they're in possession of it.
They could be fucking it all off on hookers and God knows what else.
Memorabilia, or wasting vast sums of it on bad investments. Trusting Al Haymon with that much of your money. It's in keeping with what we see from Floyd Mayweather, who's been scrambling to schedule exhibition match after exhibition match.
Each one more mediocre than the last. It's in keeping with what Deontay Wilder once said.
There's too many greedy people in the business. You know, they always in there. There's so many people that look for their interest instead of the fighter's interest. And that's another thing that hurts us as well. You know, they got too many crooks in the business. And instead of just letting these fighters fight, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the fighters are the products. They're the product. They the one should be deciding and making moves because they're risking their lives. They're using their body, not anyone else. And the head is not meant to be hit in the first place. So who is anyone to dictate or say, oh, you should do this, or just because you got the money you promoting, that makes it right? When your ass can be 105 years old and still making millions while this broke fighter that enriched his life years and years don't have nothing to show for, can't even pay the medical bills, can't even pay their rent and stuff. It's so backwards. I can go on and on about that, but it ain't the time and the place. So I'll leave you with that.
Soundbite from Deontay Wilder is from well over a year ago when he was still at the PBC before he migrated over to Matchroom. At or around that time, he was complaining about late payments dispersed to fighters, that fighters should get paid on time, and at that time, he was at the PBC. So who else could he have been talking about aside from Al Haymon?
It's obvious.
And everything that he just said in that soundbite I just played for you guys is in keeping with what I've been telling you and what has become synonymous from Al Haymon, the PBC, and their business practices. It all ties together.
He's a crook.
But the geniuses of the YouTube boxing community would have you believe that he's not a crook just because he looks like you.
Getting mad at me for pointing it out.
Year in, year out, I warn that when so much of the fighter's money is all in control of one person, he can misappropriate those funds and the fighters will be none the wiser. For a more crude example, think of Rocky V and what happened at the beginning of the movie. How it was that Rocky lost all of his money. It's the same thing here. You're trusting Al Haymon to not do anything stupid with your cash.
But why does he have it in the first place? Why do you need him to hold it for you?
He convinced those guys to do it. That's what it was. Telling tall tales of smart investments, quote unquote smart investments.
So when the rumor mill is spinning, and it says that Floyd Mayweather was trapped in Dubai because he was in deep with the sharks, it all makes sense.
It all adds up. Once the money doesn't, because how could a guy who's made as much money as Floyd Mayweather end up going so broke so fast? Well, frivolous spending habits is one thing, and Al Haymon misappropriating your funds is quite another. You're burning through cash on both ends of the candle.
Before, you had both Fox and Amazon giving you an annual budget, which is what kept you afloat. Now, you're with Amazon, and they're not giving you anything.
The fighters, what fighters you still have under contract, the most that you can hope to do with them is outsource them to promoters who actually have money because you don't, and then get a piece of that money once they get their purses.
Get a cut.
And that only really applies to the fighters that you still have under contract. The fighters you don't, they're floating away. You see they're leaving. Usyk Floyd is still staging these pointless exhibition matches that nobody's asking for, nobody wants. What profit could they yield?
The guys that left to go up to bat for Floyd and his finances, his bank account. Did you buy any of those pay-per-views that he put on? The one with Don Moore, the one with Chalmers, the more recent one with Gotti?
Did you buy them? Because you guys seem enamored with Floyd Mayweather. You love Floyd Mayweather. But if you didn't buy those pay-per-views, who did?
I didn't.
Because I spend a lot of money on boxing throughout the year, but I don't spend money on garbage. This guy's scheduling these exhibition matches at a greater rate than some PBC fighters are fighting, which tells me this guy's in a hole.
He's running out of money.
I don't care. I'm not interested in Joshua either.
You're not interested in that fight?
No, I'm not because Tyson's already done it. He's beaten the man who's beat him twice. So I'm not for that. For me, it's my emotions, like I said yesterday, is finished from this fight after this fight. So everything else is purely for business and money, and I don't really care from there on out.
Well, if it's about business and money, that would make the Anthony Joshua fight the natural fight to make. After Tyson is done with Usyk, whether it's one fight or two fights, whether Tyson wins this weekend or Tyson loses, the biggest fight, in fact, the bigger fight would be the Joshua fight. I'd go as far as saying that fighting Anthony Joshua commercially would yield bigger rewards for Tyson Fury than this weekend's fight, because we all know that Anthony Joshua sells. The Brits badly want that fight, need that fight. Whether Fury wins or loses this weekend, you can sell it.
Then why is Fury's older brother poo-pooing all over it? And why did Tyson Fury himself say he doesn't know why Anthony's going to be in attendance this weekend? He doesn't know why he's going to be there when he may have to fight Usyk twice.
So what?
So?
You fighting Usyk twice doesn't stop him from scouting you, and it is you he's there to scout.
assuming you fight Usyk twice, because you might not, I maintain if Usyk wins this weekend, I don't think Tyson Fury activates the rematch clause. If he loses, and depending on how he loses...
Look at how Deontay Wilder lost to Joseph Parker in lopsided fashion. I don't think Deontay Wilder won a single round in that fight. And after the fight, you didn't see him clamoring for a rematch. You didn't see him asking to run it back. No, he moved on to a Zhilei Zhang fight, and that's a good fight. But you see what I mean? That depending on how the guy loses, that determines whether or not there even will be a rematch.
Depending on Fury winning or losing, and if he loses, how he loses.
They don't sound too crazy about an Anthony Joshua fight. They don't sound too crazy Anthony Joshua's going to be there. Unbeknownst to most, Anthony and Tyson Fury share quite a few common opponents. No, it's not just Francis Ngannou, and it's not just Otto Wallin. They share about 4 or 5 common opponents.
And Anthony knocked all of them out.
Fury only knocked out one. You're talking about Francis Ngannou, Otto Wallin, Dillian White, Vladimir Klitschko, and veteran journeyman Kingpin Johnson. And of the 5, Anthony knocked all 5 out, whereas Fury only knocked out one. That one was Dillian White. It's often said that triangle theories in the sport of boxing don't work. That just because you beat a guy in better fashion that someone else did, that doesn't mean you'd beat that someone else. But it stops being a triangle.
Yeah, it's not a triangle anymore when you're talking about 5 different guys, 5 different opponents. If you beat 5 different opponents in better fashion than another guy...
It's not a triangle, it's a statement. And the pattern is still prevalent. The pattern is still going on. Where Fury struggled with Otto Wallin, Anthony beat him easy. Where Fury struggled with Francis Ngannou, Anthony beat him easy.
It's not a triangle theory anymore.
Do they not fancy the Anthony Joshua fight based on Anthony Joshua and how he's looking, and that he now has Ben Davison in his corner? Ben Davison, who used to train Tyson Fury, who gives Anthony the inside track.
He does.
On Tyson, what his habits are, his strengths, his weaknesses.
Ben would know.
Is it at all far-fetched to say that between the assignment that Tyson Fury has in front of him, a very complex one, a complex opponent in Alexander Usyk, and his arch nemesis being there ringside, Anthony Joshua, it's got Team Fury a bit bothered, a bit rattled, feeling like the walls are closing in, that even if you win this weekend, you might still have to deal with that guy. You might not want to, but Turki Al-Sheikh does. So does the paying public.
They want you to fight him. They're going to want you to fight him.
What do you want to do? Run it back with Francis Ngannou? Whatever demand there was for that fight, it's gone now. If you do take care of business this weekend, the guy they're going to want to put you in there with is Anthony Joshua. That's the biggest fight you can have for business and money.
The beauty part.
If you don't take care of business this weekend, they're still going to want you to fight him. The Brits, unlike the Americans, aren't all hung up on unbeaten records, unbeaten, unblemished records. There's still going to be a palpable demand for that fight in either outcome. So what are you going to do?